एक सुरक्षित परिवार और एक सुरक्षित जीवन जुड़ा हुआ है। इस भावना के साथ पथ निर्माण विभाग सड़क सुरक्षा के प्रति अपनी प्रतिबद्धता और या, या हमारा जो एक है नेशनल एंथम का राष्ट्रीय गीत और राष्ट्रीय गान बाद होगा, उसके बाद एक टी ब्रेक होगा, तो उनके लिए जोरदार तालियां इनके लिए आमंत्रित कीजिए अरुण अंसारी जी को। और उसके बाद इनकी सत्र प्रारंभ होगा। बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद अभिनंदन सर। Respected our guest of honor, Sri Pravin Jayant Bhengra, sir, Engineer in Chief, Road Construction Department, Government of Jharkhand. Sri Sandeep Kumar Bhagat, Chairman, Institution of Engineers, Jharkhand State Center. Engineer Abhinand Kumar, Convener of the seminar. Engineer Onkar Nath, Co-Convener of the seminar. Past Chairman, Sri A.K. Saxena, sir, and Sri C.R. Ranjan, sir. Past Chairman and present Council Member, Sri Sanjay Sen, sir. Past Honorary Secretary, Dr. Manoj Kumar, sir. Uh, Distinguished speakers, senior engineers, members of the Institution of Engineers, delegates, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen. It is my privilege to propose vote of thanks at inaugural session of this one-day seminar on roads user safety, challenges in India and their effective solutions. At the outset, on behalf of the Institution of Engineers Jharkhand State Center, I extend our sincere gratitude to our guest of honor, Sri Pravin Jain Bhengra sir, Engineer in Chief Road Construction Department, Government of Jharkhand, for joining us and sharing his valuable thoughts and insights. Sir, your experience and leadership in the road sector will provide an important perspective to the deliberations of this seminar. I would also like to place on record our sincere appreciation to Sri Sandeep Kumar Bhagat sir and Dr. Vishal Issa, under whose leadership the Institution of Engineers Jharkhand State Center is organizing this important program. I also congratulate Engineer Bhengra Kumar sir and Engineer Onkar Nath sir and the
please be on the stage. Dr. Alok Kumar is Executive Engineer in the Water Resources Department, Government of Jharkhand. So please welcome him with a big hand on the stage. And I would again request Onkar ji, our co-convener, to present him with the flower. Jodar Taliyan. Now I request Engineer Umesh Kumar to be rapporteur of this technical session 1. He's assistant engineer in road construction department, road division Ranchi. Please welcome him with a big hand on the stage. And I request him to present a flower as a kind of gesture. Now I would invite the first speaker of the technical session 1, and uh, he is a assistant professor, transportation planning, Department of Civil Engineering, from IIT ISM Dhanbad, and he is none other than Dr. Punebhir Sarangi. Please welcome him with a big hand on the stage. जोरदार तालियां पुनेबीर सारंगी साहब के लिए। और मैं टेक्निकल सेशन के चेयरमैन साहब को आग्रह करूंगा इन्हें एक रोज फ्लावर देके इन्हें स्वागत किया जाए। प्लीज बी ऑन द स्टेज। So, thunderous applause. And the topic of his presentation is preventing crash risk before it happens, surrogate safety measures for heterogeneous Indian traffic conditions. So this is a very appropriate topic. Thanks for the topic. And please welcome Dr. Punebhir Sarangi, sir, with a big hand.
So the topic of my presentation is predicting crash risk before it happens. Because obviously after a crash, we will have some fatality, we will have some injuries. So it is always important to if we can predict it before it happens. Okay. So I will go through certain so that's why I will introduce a concept surrogate safety, which is not there neither in our safety audit manual or it is not there in any of the IRC case. Okay. So I think in this set, if we can incorporate that, it will actually drastically reduce the crash actually happen. Then coming to minor accident and what type of injury it led to. Okay. So see, then this is the process that's followed. Like when a crash occurs, the FIR gets registered, the investigation, then a case file is prepared, and it fits into the national data. Then but the challenges that we face is basically fragmented online access. There is no open access to FIR data, and plus there is incomplete crash details in many of the FIR reports that we found. And sometimes there is under reporting. That means two parties who are involved in accident, they have a mutual between them, and they don't report the FIR or they don't report the crash. When it is paper based, obviously after checking the police records, they gave a scanned copy to extract that data into Excel took us around 4 5 minutes to simply document them in a proper way. Okay. So we had to use certain machine learning algorithms to extract those scanned copies and have it in a proper Excel format in a detailed way. Okay. Plus, there are different procedural and bureaucratic questions that I first there is, oh, and then the last one, that is there is no unified national repository on class data. Like every state maintains its own FIR, and different FIRs have different formats. Like if you collect it from South India, their FIR format is a different. To study the two-wheeler in a through a surrogate safety measure, because whatever data I had, the FIR data is of no use because it I had the FIR data is of no use because it gives me what are the factors influencing crash risk, but it does not give me any information on how to avoid that crash. Okay, so that's why our focus should be how, because when a how to avoid that crash. Okay, so that's why our focus should be how, because when a life is lost, they cannot bring it back. Simply finding out what are the factors influencing loss, they cannot bring it back. Simply finding out what are the factors influencing that cost is not enough. That's why we went for this surrogate safety measure is not enough. That's why we went for this surrogate safety measure. So, like since the two-wheeler ride, like since the two-wheeler riders were the most vulnerable, so I focused on like a specific segment of this, especially to government of Delhi, to government of India, to include them in the IRC road safety audit and other platforms as well. So then comes why surrogate safety. Like I said, so why do we go for surrogate safety measure? Because surrogate safety measures helps us finding out the traffic conflict techniques. Like if we can figure out conflict techniques, will help us actually identify or redesign a particular intersection or a particular median opening. This surrogate safety measure, like the name suggests, surrogate means it is not existing, it is latent, it is hidden. Okay. We have to figure it out through certain techniques. So it is called surrogate safety. It's not called direct safety or any other. It is called surrogate safety because, as the name surrogate suggests, it is hidden, it is latent. Through certain techniques, we can find out what are the conflict points and where there is a dark spot or where there is a class zone, and we can identify this through some techniques that I will discuss, and how we have done the analysis as well. Okay. And so, and this surrogate safety measure actually involves four major components. One is time to polygon. Okay, I will discuss in more details about in the subsequent slides. The next is post enforcement time. Then the third one is collision severity. And fourth is conflict risk. So surrogate safety measure actually gives us idea on these four platforms. But what time a vehicle is going to collide, okay, then the post enforcement time means what will be the behavior of the driver based on the PIEV theory that we all have read. There is a perception reaction time for a crash. And then the collision severity, like whether it will be a minor risk or major risk or fatality. And third is conflict risk. Now, how big is a conflict? Whether it's merging conflict, or it's a diverging conflict, or it's a conflict due to the median opening, or like it's due to a uninterrupted flow. Okay. So this can be the conflict risk. Based on that, these are the needs of the study. Maybe I'll go to the next slide. That why surrogate safety is important. Addressing is these two major important questions. How likely a two-wheeler user is likely to hit another two-wheeler user or a vehicle, okay, or any other four-wheeler. If a collision were to occur, how severe would it be? Okay, so these were the two objectives currently we have answered, although we had five objectives in the project. But currently the research is ongoing, but we have already addressed these objectives. So we address these two objectives through some data collection actually. So this is how the surrogate safety flow actually works. So first we based on the surrogate safety measures, these are the three-step process. First we identify the traffic stream parameters, that is the speed, volume, and density. Okay. Then based on this speed, volume, density, we create a synthetic platform. Okay. That identify the conflicts and classes. After we identify the conflict zones and classes, then we classify the classes in three different types. That is no injury class, serious injury class, and fatal class. These are the three steps that is followed. In a road segment, we can say that if the person is driving in this region, so here we predict the safety aspects. Then in this region, just before the time to collision, we have a proactive safety measure that is nothing but this one. Then here, when the passive safety, where the accident actually going to happen, accident is going to happen. That is this region. That here we classify the accident, no injury class, serious injury class, and total class. That's how it is segmented. This is the step by step how we do. First, we identify the conflicts in a surrogate safety measure. Then we analyze these conflict points. Then we predict the crash risk, like I said. Then we implement proactive measures. Either we redesign a particular segment of the road, or we take certain measures to avoid those conflict points through some signals or through some signs or through some markings. So the first one, obviously, the first component of the surrogate safety, that is the post encroachment time. So suppose say my two vehicles are coming in this direction, okay, which is and then in post encroachment time we predict two types of collision. One is right turn collision, and the other one is rear end collision, like it is seen here. So if like the two is the time of the follower vehicle, and T1 is the time taken by the leader vehicle, and both are, suppose it is moving at a speed of V1 and this is moving at a speed V2. So it is a through traffic, this is right turn traffic. You can see here. Okay. So this is a right turn traffic and this is a through traffic. That means it is moving in a straight line and it is taking a right turn. So here their corresponding time, suppose it's T1 to take the right turn, and V2 during will be covering a distance of this means during T2. So what is the conflict in this red area? Okay, that is one conflict. Then the other conflict is this rear collision. When the follower vehicle moves at a higher speed than the leader vehicle. Okay, that is my T4, T3. So these two scenarios we predict with this post encroachment type. Then the second one is time to collision. So in this time to collision, actually, we do is we predict this particular, this is like this from the past, we identified this is the conflict zone, then we calculate the distance, okay, and we calculate the time, then there is the time to collision, it is nothing but d1 by v1, okay. If d2 by v2, that is the distance covered by this particular vehicle which is a through traffic at the speed of v2, if it is less than d1 by v1, then there is going to, then the vehicle can take a safe right turn, okay. There is going to be a right turn collision in the other case. With the third case, when x1 minus x2, that is if here we have taken rather than d1, d2, we have taken these as x1 and x2, that is the distance covered by the follower vehicle, and the distance covered within that time by the leader vehicle, x1. So x1 minus x2 minus the like the reaction time, within that reaction time, how much the driver would have, like, because in a reaction time, the driver generally decides whether I will accelerate or decelerate. So within that decision period, that is the perception reaction time, how much distance the driver would have covered minus the speeds v2 minus v1. If v1 is less than equals to v2, that will go for rear end collision. Okay. So these are the, so we decided from the post encroachment rate, we identified the conflict zones. In the time to collision, we found out the time for a right turn collision and for a rear end collision. Okay. Then comes the third step, where we predict the severity of crash. Actually, what we do then in the third step, that there will be multiple vehicles from group which will have a this right turn and which will have a like leader follower behavior. So we predict, we plot their speeds and the travel time. Okay, and it follows a distribution. Sometimes it follows a normal value distribution. Sometimes it follows this extreme value distribution. Okay, so based on this extreme value distribution, with like two curves intersect, that is the point of actually severity. Two vehicles, and if one the speed profile of one vehicle intersects the speed profile of other vehicle, then obviously the rear vehicle is going to hit vehicle. Okay, so that's why we plot their distribution, we plot their speed profile or their distance profile through this graph where they intersect. Suppose at this point they intersect, there we predict that the crash is going to happen. And the level of intersection, that is, if the cars simply intersect at that point, then it is going to be a simply hit, like hit and miss collision. But if the cars like continuously move at the same speed, that it is going to be a more fatal collision. Okay. That's how we predict these classes. Is whether it will be a fatal injury that requires hospitalization, or it requires a or it will be a major injury, minor injury based on the torque distribution. And the last step, we identify the collision severity identification. That is, once we predict the level of collision, that is whether it is going to be a fatal crash or whether it is going to be a minor crash, we then predict like how much time is required, okay, to reach emergency services in that particular area based on the availability of local hospitals as well as police stations. Okay, that is the emergency situation when they need some time to reach that. Okay, so that is like the collision severity identification. Like based on the collision severity, how much resources you actually need. If it is a simply minor injury, maybe the bystanders can help. Okay. If it is a severe injury or it is a fatal injury, obviously we need hospital and the police authority to reach on the spot. So that is the post-accident scenario prediction, okay, that we have done through. There will be like three types of passengers. One is our normal passengers, one is undisturbed passengers, one is the passengers who are now conflicts because of that accident. The top one is the crashed vehicles. Okay, so these are the four level of passengers that we will encounter when the crash happens. Okay. Based on that, we had certain mathematical formulas. I will not go through much details. Actually, we use the exponential function for this because distance is actually a decay function. Because as my distance increases, they are less likely to reach that particular spot. As the distance becomes closer, they have a higher probability to reach that spot. So just follow the exponential function. The exponential function is nothing but a decay function. It is very high and close value. As it becomes extreme value, it lies on the tails, which becomes very close. That's what we have used actually. If a hospital or if a police station is very far away from the accident site, they are less likely to reach that spot. Same time, if it is very close, then they have a higher probability of reaching that spot on time. In the data collection, actually, we use Delhi as the study area, and currently we are doing for Dhanbad. So this is the screenshot from Delhi. Okay, so we use a T junction and a two-lane road. So these are the two scenarios that we develop. So here we have used the two-lane road, and here we have used the T junction. It was obviously for calculating the post encroachment time, we need to have information on like the traffic stream parameters. What is the volume, what is the speed, and what is the density in a day. So what we did, we took this using a drone survey. We collected the data both through here it was a videographic survey. We fixed the camera on one of the high points. That is one of the, and here we used a drone source. So to both ways, we calculated the traffic stream parameters. And this is how you can see the movement of traffic takes place, and how then we originally had from the drone shots, we calculated the lat long or the geo coordinates. These for different points. One is of Noida, then other is of Greater Noida T point, and these are mostly collected from Noida because we got the permission to fly our drone in those zones. That's why we have mostly collected data from the Noida region, which is then very extensive, which has very extensive road network in that particular region. And this is how we identified that particular area. Like these are point 1, 2, 3, 4 actually becomes my a curve within which the conflict points we actually identified. Okay, these are my point 1, 2, 3, 4. That is, this is point 1, this is point 2, this is, so we actually made a like polygon. So within polygon, how many vehicles are coming? That's what we identified as our conflict zone. And then there were certain data cleaning techniques. Okay, then comes the methodology. So this was the overall methodology. Like I said, if I tell it in brief, what we did, like we collected the trajectory data from the both from the camera data as well as from the drone shot. Then first we calculated the PET, post encroachment time here. Then we go for time to collision in both these steps. Then we went for the like crash severity. Then providing post crash enforcement here. Okay, and then we had certain conclusions. So that is what the overall plan is. You can see here, like this in the graph, like after analyzing the video, we found out these are the two conflict points, okay, in the drone shots that we had taken at a vehicle which is merging with the traffic. Okay. So that was where one of the conflict points that we identified through our study in the Noida region at the T junction. Okay, and then we had certain trajectory data as well. Right. This is, I think, left here. You can see how we have calculated the trajectory data of different vehicles. Like we gave information of the PCU because car has a PCU of 1 and then two-wheeler has a PCU of 0.5 to 0.6. We used actually Chandra's method for PCU classification, and then we gave certain ranges to we wrote a code using YOLO V5, YOLO V7, and then we identified the traffic stream parameters. That is, it will give us the count. Okay, the number of cars moving in 1 hour in one direction of the different types of vehicles, as well as it will give us information about their density and the spot speed when they actually, and this entire is actually that polygon we designed. Okay, so through this polygon, when any vehicle comes, you can see when it is just entering, that box is not identifying. Once it is completely entering the polygon, then the box is identified, and based on the PCU information that we had given to this particular video, it is classifying that which type of PCU it is. Whether it's a like PCU 1 means if it is a passenger car, in PCU we are given 2.2 as for a city bus, PCU 3 to 4 as a truck, and PCU 0.5 to 0.6 as a two-wheeler. So it gave us the classification of different types of vehicles here. And we also got the traffic stream parameters. Then we are developing this two-wheeler simulator in our lab. So based on this video, we will be playing the same video in the screen. We will be asking these delivery riders to come to our lab. They will be driving in the same scenario that they are actually facing on the road, because purpose of collecting this drone the information and the camera information was to simulate or exactly replicate the road platform in the lab. Okay. Then what will have? They will be driving a two-wheeler, and they will be only like it will be 270 degrees that we are developing in our lab. So they cannot move backwards or anything. They will be simply seeing based on their cone of vision we have. Okay, and they will be riding in the same scenario that they are actually facing. We will have control station where we will control for the weather conditions, that cycle riding. There will be rain. We will be see how their behavior is changing, how their this traffic stream parameter, as well as we are also tracking their pupil movement, like how many times they are blinking, how many times they have a gaze, that means they are not blinking, and how their pupil is moving. Based on that, it will give us good information on their driving behavior and their like how their crash risk behavior. So this is what currently we are developing. So we have till now mostly analyzed the field that. So this we are like slowly developing, and once this information is out, we can actually predict proper driving behavior of the vehicles. Okay, and of this delivery riders who are not the same as like our normal two-wheeler riders. So the key suggestions as of now, how much we have done the analysis are like the road safety audit, which is nothing but my IRC 88. It does not quantify these conflict indicators that we have actually quantified. That we have through this post encroachment time or the time to collision, we have actually quantified like how much time will be there for to react and at which will be my conflict zone. These are actually not quantified by the IRC 88 2019. This could be one of the suggestions that we can propose. What we are proposing is like institutionalized surrogate safety measures supplementary to this road safety audit. Okay. Then another thing can be like since we need pan India studies, there should be certain calibration studies all over India. So IRC could sponsor a multi-site calibration study similar to how Chandra's method was developed for the PCU technique, and then mandate before after collision studies for evaluation of any road project, be it tunnels, be it flyovers, be it zones. We are only thinking before like after conflict, like when we have sufficient FIR data, okay, then we get the information, this is the black through the road safety audit and we design. We never have any information before conflict study, which actually will be given the surrogate safety measures before conflict. Before happens or before sufficient trust happens, surrogate safety will help us enable to predict or identify that this is actually a black spot and there is going to happen a crash. And it will also give us idea about how severity that crash is going to be. Okay. So that's why before after conflict studies should also be used for treatment evaluation of any traffic facility that we are designing, be it tunnels, be it flyovers, be it overbridges, or whatever new 4 lane or 6 lane routes that we are designing for NH or state highways. So every study has its future challenges. So one of the major out of the 6 future challenges that we are facing, the major challenge that we have is surrogate safety measures are actually standardized for foreign conditions. We don't have any standardization measure for our India. Like whatever we are getting, whether that is correct or not, we don't have no base information because in India there is no study. So whatever study that we did at like Noida and Gurgaon, whatever we found out the post encroachment time or the collision severity for the rear end collision as well as for the right turning traffic, whether how good is our data or how bad is our data or how bad is our predicting capacity, we don't know because whatever standards that we have mostly some standards from the developed US ASCII, some standards from the European Union. We don't have any study from India, and our traffic is highly heterogeneous. We have a very mixed traffic condition without any lane discipline. So whatever findings that we have found out, okay, I'm sure they are correct, but at what level of accuracy they are, whether they are 70% accurate, the surrogate safety parameters that we have predicted, or whether they are 80%, we are not able to validate our findings because we don't have any base standards in India. So that's why I like in my suggestion slide I propose that IRC should like mandate a surrogate safety along with the road safety audit. As well as they should give certain like mandate it to have a pan India study. Only then we can develop certain standards based on which we can measure that we can like generally say for any study or for any social demographic study we take census as our base. Okay, because from census we get this is my gender ratio or this is my population ratio. But for surrogate safety, we don't have any reference or any secondary data source. Okay, it's a high point that we include it as a complementary to the road safety audit course that we have. And IRC should actually sponsor or should some way validate or provide a standard for the different parameters of the surrogate safety measures, those parameters that we have. So based on that, I conclude. And obviously, prevention is not about predicting the future, but it's always about recognizing the warnings we already have. So obviously, predicting crash is never going to be give us any advantage because already the crash would have happened and the person would have died because of a fatality. So rather than predicting crash, we should always recognize the warnings we already have. So from with this, I conclude my presentation. Thank you. Any questions?
Any floor intervention from the audience?
In fact, first of all, my compliment, the kind of study what you have done or it is undergoing. Probably sometimes my experience says that highly technical, complex situation has a very easy solution if our civic sense, social kind of education is given at a basic level, primary level. So don't you think that you should also have that particular aspect also in your study?
Yes, sir. Actually, I have not included that. We are also using the like psychology. We have also one professor from humanities department, so who is actually understanding their behavior, or like when they, like especially for the delivery riders, since they always have a time pressure. So in the time pressure, how their actually the brain gives them signal to drive. So that aspect actually they are studying through some EEG and ECG, they are putting some wares and they are studying. So that is not our control. And other thing is, I'm coming, sir. like we know that okay, civic sense is a if civic sense prevails, obviously we can have avoid lot of risk accidents. But at the same time, but we are slowly seeing from the statistics that day by day accidents are increasing. So I think rather than civic sense, we should have more focus on the enforcement.
No, I agree with you. As far as technical solutions are concerned, and that is how we are discussing in institution of engineering. But I personally feel that there are I'll give you an example. Mr. Sridharan, who was in charge of Delhi Metro, or rather, he's the man, for your information, who started Metro in India. And a simple discipline was done. The first very few days in Delhi, if you are familiar with, he invited school children to commute from by metro. No other people were allowed. And he started teaching that this is how you are going to go in and this is how you are going to come out. And that became a trend. Today, when you compare with local of Mumbai and of any metro line, you will find metro line, even though it is all crowded, but there is a discipline of how people are going, coming out, which is not there in Bombay, uh, local trade. So I personally feel is your study, if you can mention something, we have to not only young generation also have to start knowing that how we should do. I'll give you one more example. In Middle East, the distance between two cars, the man who is looking at the front car
Leader
should see the tire. That is the distance they have fixed. If it is lesser than that, they challan it. So that probably could also even maybe small part, but please add in your study.
Yes, sure, sir. I will keep this in.
Thank you. So I could see your study was excellent. In fact, whatever is going on, a very meticulous exercise I could see. Thank you.
Sir, thank you. Sir, please introduce yourself. Sir, I request, please introduce yourself first. Please.
I'm Sushant Sahadev. I have 36 year of experience. I work for, I rather now I'm superannuated, and I worked for Larsen and Toubro right after my post graduation in construction management. I'm a fellowship of Institution of Engineers. Fortunately, I was trying to look at my number. It is in NRI this thing, and that is how it is not appearing here in Jharkhand. But hats off to you. Please keep it up.
Thank you. Thank you. Any other person who want to intervene, please?
Yeah, I'm Deol. I'm one of the road users. Sir, I have a suggestion to make. There is a difference between an urban traffic planning and high-speed corridors and national highways. And everybody knows the speed of a vehicle is the most important factor in generating casualties. So two-wheelers, which you said in urban area, urban environment, is 75% contributing to the conflict in the traffic engineering. But I would like to suggest now the high-speed corridors, national highways, design speed is ranging from 120 kilometer per hour downwards, where we still see the people getting accident, they getting casualties in bus accidents, jumping from this thing. So some study of simulation. I will go for a simulation as it will be the right word that will contribute and reduce 1.5 lakh casualties which happened in last couple of years in a larger way and will be more beneficial to the society. Besides my previous gentleman who has given you a suggestion to social aspect of it, that is the education, है ना? Awareness and education, and the regulatory aspect which earlier was told in the opening address. So my suggestion remains, if you can extrapolate your study on those lines will be more beneficial to engineering fraternities aspects. Thank you.
Okay. Sir, actually, since this was a project that we got from the ministry, so we have to see, and these delivery riders are mostly urban riders. We don't go, maybe in future, yes, obviously we will expand it. But one major problem that we will face, like we are collecting data from Delhi, Like we were not allowed to take drone shots in NH, many of the NH. We were mostly allowed the city, but that too on the outskirts, not on the Delhi NCR region. It's like CP or outskirts, we were not permitted because there were no flying zones. We were mostly given Gurgaon and Noida regions. And obviously, yes, sir. Means my longer goal is like studying the NH and SH also. But since this project we got on the delivery riders crash risk evaluation, so that's why currently we are focusing on the urban traffic. But once we also once this project is completed, obviously we'll expand it to the NH and SS, uninterrupted flow. Basically, this is mostly a interrupted flow because we have signals, we have markings inside the urban traffic. The speed is obviously lower than what we experience in the NH and SS. Thank you.
We will take up the question and answer session in validity session because that will prolong the technical session. So kindly be seated there. Okay, clappings for Dr. Punibit Sarangi sir for such an innovative idea, very innovative idea in preventing crashes before it happens. Now I invite Dr. Vidya Rao sir from the stage from Viswasaraya Technical University, PG Project Management from NICMAR, ABRD certified CRI trained road safety practitioner. At present, he is associated with Catline Consultants, first like Catline Company, and his topic of speech is IRC standards as a guiding force